Hi there, it's David John, the Resourceful Coach, and what we're going to talk about today is 50 to 75 yard shots. And we're just going to get one mental picture in your mind, which the statistic we're going to show you today as we go round 9 holes will blow your mind. It blew my mind when I first came across this idea. And it's a thought we'll talk about later during the video that Jack Nicklaus said that if he ever felt uncomfortable going for the flag, just aim at the centre of the green. So that's all we're going to do today. We're going to go to all 9 greens. I have no idea where the flag positions are. Okay, we're going to measure it out. I'm going to stand in the middle of the green, take a reading to the flag and see on average how good I'd be from 50 to 75 yards relative to the hole, how good a player I am. So let's give you 6 bits of data to start with. Number 1, okay, if you're an 18 handicap golfer, from that distance, if you get it to 40 feet, you are playing to your level. Anybody shooting high single figure, so shooting around 80, we're looking around about 25 feet. A scratch golfer would be about 18 feet. So there's our sort of amateur golfers and looking at their level. Now let's look at 3 levels of player on tour. Okay, average tour player finishes about 15 feet away. Scottish Shuffler, the world number 1, averages 13 feet from this distance. And the best player on tour is just under 10 feet. He's around about 8 to 9 feet away from the hole. So that just puts in perspective what we're looking at. So we're looking at an area of 8 feet all the way up to 40 feet for the levels of golfer that we're talking about here. So here we've got that shot. We're going to play a ball onto the green, okay, and then we're going to go up. I'm going to stand in the middle of the green, get a reading to the flag and see what we get. But we're looking at this shot, 50 to 75 yards, up onto the green. A shot, again, I know a lot of you golfers are not particularly happy with, it's not your favourite shot, but you'll realise as you go through this with the data how much of a difference this will make if you can just mentally think, hit the middle of the green. But let's go and see where I ended up, and let's see where the middle of the green, what that would have done for me, and see how well I've done on this hole. And then we're going to look at all 9 holes. As I say, I don't know where the flag positions are. We're going to look at them and work out what we can do from that position. So I've come up onto the second green, and physically here we're going to look at that central position again, look at those numbers. If you're playing that 50 to 75 yard shot, what would be good? Okay, flag's pretty central, so this would be exceptional. You'd be definitely a tour player. Okay, I think this is pretty central, but let's take 4 readings. Okay, so front of the green, 13 yards. Back of the green, 13 yards. 9 yards there. 10 yards there, so we go a tiny bit this way. There's our flag stick. We're around about 4 yards away, so that's 12 feet. So from 50 yards on this hole, 75 yards, if you're playing into this green, you put it in the middle of the green, you would be as good as Scottish Shuffler. Okay, let's go and have a look at the third hole. And again, realise, get it into that area, get the middle of the green. Look what's happened already. Already 1 hole, you're as good as Scottish Shuffler, you're the best player in the world. Let's see if that happens throughout the rest of the round. So the third hole is a hole, we've got a pond behind us here, we've got the green here, and it's quite a common shot that most of the golfers would have. And we get suckered sometimes in the greenkeeper, put the flag at the front of the green, he's put it on the side of the green here. We start to go for that and people mess up. So middle of the green, this is a really key shot. If you can get it, that 50 to 75 yard shot, middle of the green, let's see what we get. Now I'm a couple of yards in here because of the camera. Let's take a reading to the back of the green. And we've got 22 yards there to the back of the green. Okay, so I'm going to move up about 10 paces. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 there. Let's see what we've got. And again, just finding out what that is. So 14 to there. Let's see what it's back to the camera. Okay, need to go up a couple more paces. So that's the middle here. Middle there, 10. 10, so we're smack in the middle of the green. There's our flag. Amazingly, he's put it pretty much level with the middle of the green, but up the green. And now we're looking at around about 15 feet. So not quite as good as Scottish Shuffler as we were on the last green, but only 2 feet outside. So that's a pretty average tour player is what you're looking for. So we've seen through these early holes, all right, the flags today, this one's cut a little bit on the left side, but it's pretty central. But as we go round these different flag positions, so far we're seeing, hit the middle of the green, you are going to be doing brilliantly. And that's the key thing that we're looking for. Get that consistency mentally. the top player in the world, or the greatest player in the world I should say, Jack Nicklaus, always said, worst case scenario, hit the middle of the green. We've seen through the first 3 holes, if we do that, we're going to be in great shape. So when we come to the biggest greens on the golf course here at Corinthians, the 4th and the 9th greens are the biggest. They're the longest greens. So it's going to be interesting to see where he's put the flag today, where that's going to affect our shot. So we're right at the back of the green. I've done the opposite way around here. We've gone back to front. Take a reading to the front of the green. Okay, let's get another reading on that. So we're looking at around about 33 yards the length of the green. So about 100 feet. Okay, so I'm going to pace down about 16 paces. 6, 13, 14, 15, 16. Take another reading. Okay, need to go another couple of paces there to this position. I think we come across here. Look, it's amazing. He's put the flag quite central again. Let's get a reading there. 8. 8. Yeah, perfect. Okay. And let's take our reading to the flag. This is the key number. So we're looking amazingly 13 feet from the hole. So we're seeing through the 2nd and 3rd and 4th holes so far, we're seeing easily hit the middle of the green. You are as good as a tour player. You're up there around about Scottish Shuffler, world #1 level. So that's really important. Just have that mental picture, hit the middle of the green. As I said, this stat blew my mind the first time I went out and did it. Okay, there will be some flags, I'm sure of it, as we go around. I haven't looked at the flags before I've gone out today to see where they are and whether we will get some longer positions. But remember, 25 feet is good enough to play single figure golf. So at the moment, everything has been around about, well, it's definitely been under 20 feet from the hole. So we're comfortably playing scratch or tour player level golf at the moment, if we can just hit the middle of the green through these first 4 holes from 50 to 75 yards. So here's the 5th green. We're looking at the hole coming down onto the green. We can see the flag. It looks like it's towards the back. So let's take a reading to the back of the green. Okay. We're there. Oh, just pressed the wrong button. Let's get that back to where we want to be. So the green's 26 yards in length. Again, I'm walking what I think is pretty central. So I want to get it to 13. Let's go 13 back to the front, back towards the camera. See what we got. 12, so just there. And guess what? There's the flag again. I'm going to take the reading to, I want to get it as central as I can. I don't want to look at anything. So 11 that way. 12 that way. So we go 1 pace there. Okay, and what do we got? There's that flag. Even though he's put it at the back of the green, we are around about 16 feet away, which is pretty much what we said is the average tour player. So, okay, I'm not going to say any more than that. You've heard that on the previous holes. Let's go to the next hole and get some more data for you. So I've come up onto the green. We're going to take a couple of readings. Hopefully you can see my ball on the green. You can see the flag right at the very front. Let's take a reading right to the back of the green. We have 28 yards. So I need to move up 14 yards. I'll get pretty central. And then what I'll do from there is I'll just take a reading either side of me to see that I'm in the center from the left and right side. So let's move up the green. So I'd say this is pretty central here. I want 14 now to the back of the green. Bang on. Have I got the central position here? 8 yards that way. 8 yards that way. So this is center of the green. Let's take a read. If I finished here, we're only looking at 12 feet from the hole. We're as good as Scottish Shuffler. Okay, my ball has ended up here. I'm not quite as good as Scotty, but my number would be about 18 feet as a scratch golfer, and I've put that 16 feet, 17 feet away. So pretty good, really happy with that. So we've given you the idea of what we're going to go through on this video. Let's go and look at all the rest of the holes. Let's go and look at all the 9 holes, see where we end up. As I said, I have no idea where the greenkeeper has put the flags today. So some might be as good as that, some may not be. But let's go and have a look and work out how we're doing. And remember, middle of the green is our number. That's what we're looking to achieve. So we've come up to the 6th hole, and I always work around the greenkeepers and the players out there. It's not my job to get in their way, and the greenkeepers are doing their work. They're checking out the sprinkler system here. Amazing in the UK this year. It has been so dry through really March and April. We're having to water the greens quite a lot, so we're out here at the moment. But let's go through our process. So we're at the back of the green here. We're going to take a reading to the front, and we've got 21 yards, so 60 odd feet. Let's go into the middle. Let's hope we don't get too wet here. take a reading to the side. We've got to do this quickly so we don't get wet. 12 that way, 10 that way, so one pace, it's fine. And then from there, we're looking at around about 5 yards, so 15 feet to that flag. George here's just about to turn the sprinkler off for me, but I told him he didn't need to. So 15 feet, we're looking about, again, 6 holes through, and every hole has been pretty close to what an average tour player would do, or even as good as Scotty Scheffler, the tour player, the best player on tour. So realise, we're only 6 holes into this. Your greens might be bigger at your golf course, they might be smaller, the flags might be cut away. But I don't think we'd have any position today where we'd be 40 feet away on these particular 6 greens. So hit the middle of the green and you're in great shape. Okay, we've got the biggest green still to come to, which is our last green. But let's go look at 7, 8, 9 and see if it does change. But at the moment, I think the biggest we've been, the furthest away was me on the first hole, around about 18 feet away. All the rest in that sort of 10 to 15 feet, hit the middle of the green. It will make a massive difference. 7th hole here at Corinthians is a long par 5, it's a bit of a snaky par 5. We're on the green. Again, I'm about 3 paces on, so I'm going to take a reading to the back of the green, see what we got. So we'll add 3 yards roughly to that, so that's 25, so 28. So we need to be about 14 up. This flag looks pretty central to me, but a little bit to the right. So amazingly, I'm going to walk where I think is the centre. Get a reading back towards the camera, so we're looking for around about 14, so we can go another pace. So that's pretty much centre of the green. If I just come a little bit there, I mean, I'm on top of the flag. I mean, literally hit the middle of the green on this one. We're only, look, the isn't even picking up the distance. I'm that close, so I'm going to pace it out. We've got just over 2 paces. So we're looking around about 6 feet. That's all we're looking for there. So you would be the best player on tour. That's better than the best player on tour on this particular hole. From, remember, that 50 to 75 yard distance. Okay, so we're seeing a pattern here. Hit the middle, you're looking good. Let's go look at 8 and 9. So the 8th green is, again, quite a big green actually. And you get out here and you start to look at the greens, you realise how long it is. I'm going to come right up to the camera so I can get a yardage to the back of the green. And the flag there looks quite a way back. Okay, so we're talking 31 yards to the back of the green. So that's 93 feet. So I need to go up 15, 16 paces up the green. I'll get a reading, find where I am. But again, I bet I'm inside 20 feet. So let's see where we are. So go one more pace, just double check that to the front. Yeah, that's good. 8 that way. So 1 pace there. I'm now in the middle of the green. There's our flag. And it's the first one we're over 20 feet. We're talking 7 yards, so 21 feet. But that's still, we're sort of looking between a scratch golfer and a player shooting around 80. Let me go back to numbers. We haven't had to talk about them at all during the video, because we haven't had any numbers that big. So that's probably the equivalent of about a 4 handicap golfer would be the middle of that green. That's the worst situation we've had all day. 4 handicaps the worst. The rest have all been scratch, pro golfer, previous green was better than the best player on tour. Okay, I'm so excited about this. The stats here do blow my mind sometimes. And that's what we've called this video. So I know the last hole, I looked at it and I got out of the car. I know he's put the flag right at the back and it's the biggest green on the golf course. So it may be the only one we are getting closer to what an 18 handicap golfer would do. But 8 holes, you are playing 4 handicap or better. Just hit that green, middle of the green, 50 to 75 yards. So we've come to our final green and you can see exactly what I said. When I got out of the car earlier, my car's over there, flag right at the back of the green. I'm going to come right up to the camera to get a reading to the front of the green. I know this is getting up towards, yeah, we're talking 44 yards. So now we're talking really 130 feet roughly. That's what we're looking at with this particular hole. So really important to understand that this is the first hole we'll find. If we go into the middle of the green, we probably are going to be closer to that 18 handicap. Might even be a little bit more than that as we go through it. Okay. So we need to go down the green about 22 yards, find the central point, find out what that is. This is our last reading to get that as we go through. Let's see what we've got. So let's take a reading back to the flag. Wind's picking up. And we've got a reading of 16.5 yards. So we're looking around about 49 feet. So it's the first hole. Let's get a bit closer to the camera so you can hear me better. It's the first hole we've gone past that 18 handicap. So again, I didn't know where the flags were going to be today. We looked at those first 7 holes and they were all tour player or better. Then the 8th hole, we suddenly got round about that sort of 2 to 4 handicap. And here we're probably looking, if we hit the middle of the green, we're going to be closer to around about 22 handicap golfer. But that's fine. If you only had one hole where that was the case, and what we're looking at around about that 40 odd feet from the hole, we're looking at a situation where the average golfer might 2-putt that still 70% of the time, and 30% of the time you 3-putt it. But the rest of the time, you are going to be 2-putting. So even as an 18 handicap golfer, you hit the middle of the green, you are going to be way ahead of the game. Single figure, you're way ahead of the game. I would take every one of those positions today. I would feel I've got 8 opportunities there to hole a putt, to get down in 2 from that 50 to 75 yards. Be a little bit of work on the last hole, but that's fine. So let's look at those stats. 8 feet if you're the best player on tour. This is from 50 to 75 yards. 13 feet if you're Scotty Scheffler, the #1 player in the world. Around about 15 feet for the average tour player. And then we're looking around about 18 feet for a scratch golfer. Then for our, really we're looking now more our amateur golfers, we're looking at around about 25 feet to shoot 80 and 40 feet to shoot 90. We've shown you the positions, they were all random. I didn't tell the greenkeeper where to go, I've just gone out, looked at where they were. But if you go and stand in the middle of your green, next time you play, regardless where you end up, stand in the middle of the green, see where you are relative to that flag. I bet you'll have a good day if you can do that every shot. And Jack Nicklaus said, if there was any doubt, middle of the green was the answer, because he felt 6 holes in a round would be cut pretty central. 6 would be cut maybe front or back, and 6 would be to the sides. So when he looked at it, he was never going to be that far away from the hole. Again, like we've had, he might have had 1 or 2 in 18 holes where he's got a 40-footer. For him, he's going to 2-putt that because he's one of the best players there's ever been. But the other opportunities meant he could make birdies from that position. So as I said, when I did this before, I did this for my members. So I have a membership you can join. It costs you around about £2.99 a month. And I do an extra video every 3 weeks. And I just did this from 100 to 125 yards. And it was similar reaction. I think the worst situation was 8 handicap from that distance if you hit the middle of the green. Okay, so if you want to support the channel, please become a member and you'll get a few extra videos through the year. But if you have enjoyed today's video, please share it with your friends. As I said, it blew my mind when I did this on the other stat. I had to do it for the general viewers here. For me, it's amazing. Hit the middle of the green, you will have a lot of fun.